Thank you all for your indulgence. Proceedings are now resumed. Please be seated. Members of the committee, one of the things we do need to consider at this time is a motion to utilize a portion of the Environmental Protection Fund in funding a number of expenditures that we have appropriated for 2018-2019. So at this time, what I'd like to do is to call upon the Honorable Minister for Health, Environment, Culture and Housing to move that motion.
Mr. Chair, thank you. Whereas the Environmental Protection Fund was created on the 23rd of December 1997 by Government Motion number 1497.
Mr. Chairman, may I? That is completely different from a motion we have. He's not reading from the same motion we have.
So, you need to correct the date from the 10th to the 23rd. Apparently, it was brought to the House on the 10th, but approved on the 23rd.
Mr. Chairman.
By correction.
Mr. Chairman, that's not the motion we have.
Which motion do you have?
This one was created on the 10th of December, 1997.
Mr. Clark, can you verify if all members have the same motion? Mr. Chair.
Proceed with. Yes, sir.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Whereas the Environmental Protection Fund was created on the 23rd of December 1997 by Government Motion 1497 for the purpose of defraying expenditure incurred in protecting and preserving the environment of the islands. And whereas it is required that disbursements from the fund may only be made in accordance with resolutions made by the Finance Committee and under the authority of the Minister for Finance for the purpose of defraying expenditure incurred in protection and preserving the environment of the islands. And whereas as 30th of September 2017, the balance of the fund was $61.3 million. And whereas the government is seeking approval in this 2018 and 2019 financial years for the amount shown on the overleaf schedule, totaling $15.650 million that represent expenditures to be incurred with respect to protecting and preserving the environment of the islands being met by disbursements from the fund. Be it now, therefore, resolved that 1, the expenditure shown on the overleaf schedule, totaling $15.650 that are expected to be incurred in 2018 and 2019 financial years, to be recognized as being in the interest of protecting and preserving the environment of the islands, and 2, that the Minister for Finance be authorized to disburse up to $15.650 from the Environmental Protection Fund to cover expenditures to be incurred with respect to the matter on the overleaf schedule. As presented.
Sorry, Mr. Chairman.
The-
I know, but just before you, just one thing, just a point of order, point of clarity.
The schedule of expenditures to be incurred in 2018 and 2019 financial years, for which approval is sought from the Finance Committee, to have such expenditures met by disbursements from the Environmental Protection Fund. The Ministry of Health, Environment, Culture and Housing for the 2018 financial year in the amounts of 4.6 million, and the 2019 financial year, the amount of 8.050000 for the remediation of the Georgetown landfill in preparation of operation of the integrated solid waste management system included within the appropriations of EI 53. And I may note this is all 3 islands. In 2018 financial year, the amount of 1.5 million, and 2019, 1.5 million for the programs aimed at protecting the environment, and the estimated to cost 1.5 million per annum. This latter amount is an element of appropriation HES 21, which includes total for 2018, 6.1 million. Total for 2019, 9.550000 for 2019 financial year. I so submit this motion.
So moved. Does the member wish to speak to his motion?
Mr. Chair, I think it's pretty much self-explanatory if other members want to comment.
Okay. Other members wish to speak to the motion before?
Mr. Chairman, how do you propose doing this motion, sir?
By taking a vote at the conclusion of the debate.
I am specifically asking about, sir, whether we have more than one opportunity at it, or it's just one opportunity to debate it, and then the motion is put. This is Finance Committee, completely different from the House. So I'm trying to determine, as chair, what your proposed, what your
Sorry, Mr. Chairman.
Member for Bordentown. So,
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just noticed that there's, when the Honorable Minister was reading the original motion that he moved, he had to use the term 15.650 without the million, and I just wanted to know if that would make a difference, because the motion as table says 15.650 without the million. So I don't know if that is material to the motion, because I don't want us to be voting on 15.650. So there seems to be a kind of confusion between what was actually moved versus what is actually written. So I just wanted to clarify if the million on it makes a difference, or which I think it should. But Yeah, but 15.650 isn't much for what you want to do.
But the zeros don't mean anything where we come from.
Yeah, but the 15.65 as is standing by itself doesn't say million. So I just wanted us to make sure we have the right motion and we vote on the right motion.
Yeah. And I
Thank
think
you.
what will happen, member, is that when we actually put this to the vote, I will read it out with the proper amounts that you are querying.
As,
Mr.
as written.
No. Wow. Mr. Chairman, I need to know to determine, because whilst this motion has been moved, and I know the Premier said that on the motion you debated and then put it to the vote, but in Finance Committee, there needs to be a further breakdown as to what is going to be used for, which members should be allowed to ask those questions. So I don't know how the chairman is going to conduct it, because the Finance Committee can establish its own rules, its own procedures.
One moment, let me have an opportunity to consult.
Mr.
I'm going to draw members' attention to Standing Order 33-1, which provides that no member may, without leave of the House, speak more than once on any question, except in A, in committee, or B, in the case of the mover of a motion, but not an amendment, in reply, after all the other members present have had an opportunity of addressing the House and before the question is put. So what I would do formally at this time then is, now that he has presented his motion, is to open this up for questions from the committee. I'm going to allow members of the committee to ask questions of the mover of the motion.
Well, that's precisely what that 33 says.
Yes. So that's where I'm moving to, and I'm saying it is now open for question. Does anyone have any members? Are there questions?
Mr. Chair. Mr. Chairman,
Member for Northside.
if we could have some greater explanation of the 4.6 million and the 8.8 million and $50,000 for mediation of the Georgetown landfill in preparation of operation of the integrated solid waste management system. Are we now saying that we're going to remediate the existing dump? That's not part of the contract that was just been awarded to put in place a complete solid waste management system.
Mr. Chairman, just let me say, the appropriation for these items has already been approved by committee. Right. This is just the source of the funding for those appropriations. So those areas have already been questioned and answered and voted upon. So the question is how we fund it, and part of the funding for the current budget cycle comes from the EPF, and that is what this represents.
Mr. Chairman, just to add to what the Leader of the Opposition is saying, though, in Finance Committee, when we questioned whether or not there was going to be any remediation, I believe the answer we were given is no. So I think that's why we need clarity on why this says remediation.
That's correct. That's true.
Well, Mr. Chairman, there was, as I recall it, we were told that the integrated system would come online sometime in 2021. And there was no remediation at this time. So I don't know how that is going to connect with this. But if the minister can explain to us what is the remediation during this year, the year coming, 2018, 2019.
Mr. Chairman, I was Minister for Health for 2.5 years, and the current minister has just come in. So I was involved during the preparation of this. The idea is, as I know I heard said in the debate here, to close the current landfill. So when we speak of remediation, that's essentially what you're talking about. Right, and it's going to be a process that takes place over time, because until you have a system in place, the waste to energy plant, where you're burning 90 or thereabouts, and maybe not that much, but between the composting, the recycling, and the other measures, and the waste to energy operation, you reduce the amount of solid waste that goes into a landfill by 90 to 95%. But until you reach that point, you got to keep at least parts of the current landfill operational, because you got to find some way to put the waste in the meantime. So this is what the reason I'm saying all of that is, this is going to be an extended process. It can't just you cut it off today and you start a new system tomorrow.
Mr. Chairman, I know exactly what must happen. I am merely asking, you can't close the landfill. Agreed. You need a landfill. But you need to build the new system next to it. If we are starting remediation now, because usually it is remediation after you build the other place and you get it going online. If we're starting it now, what part of it are we starting?
Mr. Chair, I'm undertaking to get that information as quickly as possible. What I can go on to say is that the 1.5 in 2018 and 1.5 in 2019, those programs include the iguana culling, traffic calming measures in Little Cayman for the rock iguana, legal advice, a stingray study, the Cayman parrot amnesty, and coral reef restoration as part of the 1.5. Undertaking to get information on the 4.6 and the 8.050000.
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chairman, I don't think it's being unreasonable to ask for the members of the opposition to ask for an explanation and what it's going to be. And Mr. Chairman, it may... Yeah, but we can't come to this parliament asking the opposition, or any member for that matter, the backbench as well to vote on removing over $15 million from the reserve from the reserve of this country, a fund that makes up the reserve of this country. Am I not right? That is integral to the reserve and your 10% all our FFR
Mr.
requirements, and then we can't get answers there too.
Member, let me just let's just stop there now. What we're going to do is just suspend the proceedings until we can get the answers for you. We'll so let's go ahead and take a break, and as soon as we can get the answers, we'll reconvene and do so. Dinner is here, so it's an appropriate time for us to take the dinner break. So.